Hello, my beautiful star beams, and welcome to this chat today. We're doing spiritual coaching, and so this is a space where you can share something that you are going through currently in life, whether it's life 3D stuff or spiritual stuff that you want more advice or guidance on. I will answer to the best of my abilities from my knowledge bank and work with my clients. And you can ask about something personal or something general. Either is okay. Remember to like and subscribe and hit that bell notification so you know when new videos and content comes out. I did want to share like a quick story about my walk this morning that I feel like would be beneficial for everybody. But you can feel free to put your comments and questions down here, whether you're in the live right now or if you're watching this later on YouTube, and I will answer them. Okay, so this morning I woke up with stress and anxiety, and I was like, okay, we need to go on a walk. I've been trying to go on an hour walk every day and get 3 miles in. It's just a great way to disconnect from your 3D scape and be with your higher self and those higher frequency thoughts. Okay, so I was listening to a podcast, and good morning. And this gentleman was talking about, last night I was listening to a podcast, and this gentleman was talking about keywords that you can put in your subconscious to kind of redirect your energy when you start catastrophizing or going down anxiety thought hole land. Or just have like some self-limiting beliefs. And Joe Dispenza talks about that as well. Who in here loves Joe Dispenza? Joey D. He says that when you have negative thoughts come up, you can just say cancel. Because when you say cancel, what you're doing is you're actually stepping out of the self-limiting belief, and now you're observing the self-limiting belief, because that's ultimately what we're trying to do. That's what meditation teaches, and connecting with your higher self and these higher frequencies is, I can observe that and decide whether I align with it or not. Right, because now you can actually detach and redirect your energy towards forward momentum instead of just being the self-limiting belief. Yes, we love Joey D. Okay, so I have done that in the past where I've said cancel, but to me, like cancel, not anything about that is negative with Joe Dispenza, but cancel to me is kind of like a negative phrase. I know what he's talking about, just for me personally, that just didn't like resonate. So last night, again, back to the podcast, I was listening to this gentleman, and he was using the same type of ideology, but he was saying wealth and success. Like those are his keywords that he said. And I ended up listening to a meditation of his overnight. I just try and reframe the thought. Yeah, that's a great way to do it too. So, but the keyword, I think what they were saying too, is the thing that you need in order to stop the negative momentum train, so that you can reframe the thought, because there's so many of us that get caught up in those thoughts and we can't step outside of ourselves because that momentum is like so forward moving. So keyword is like, oh, okay. That's like a little tiny breath that you can take for a second. Okay, so I was listening to his subconscious mindset reprogramming meditation while I was sleeping, and basically what he was doing was just saying those words over and over again, wealth and success. And so this morning when I went out on my walk, started having stuff come up, as one does. And I was like, I'm going to keep saying that. I'm just going to keep saying success and wealth. And then I said, I want to add another one to that. And I'm going to add clients to that. So success, wealth, and clients, because I have my business, right? And I was thinking, what is making me feel wealthy, successful, and like I have, calendar full of clients right now? Because those are all energies that you can tap into before you even see them in your 3D reality scape, because that's actually how you do quantum manifestation. And sometimes when we're thinking about money, that really stresses people out because, programming, trauma, whatever. But if you think about wealth, this is money here. Wealth is above money in frequency, because wealth actually encapsulates so many different things. You can be wealthy in love, in joy, in laughter, in peace. Like it's just a higher vibration. And if you can get into the vibration of wealthy, or a vibration of abundance or gratefulness, those higher level ones, you are a natural attractor to money, because money falls within that umbrella, right? And with success can be many different things for many different people. or even clients, right? So I was asking myself, like, what is making me feel really wealthy right now? Not just saying the words, okay, because that's great. We love that, okay? If we're using those canceling words to stop those beliefs, that's a great first start, because now we're observing, like, those thoughts are not in alignment. But if you can actually feel into what is making me feel wealthy, what is making me feel successful, what is making me feel like I have a calendar full of clients right now, that's how you draw it in. And you can just do that all throughout the day, because now you're also in the gratefulness frequency, and gratefulness attracts a whole assortment of things. Okay? Not just money, but laughter, joy, whimsy, because what you're placing your attention and energy on is what you're going to get more of, right? So I said, what is making me feel really wealthy right now? And I looked over to my right, and the lake was there next to my home, and it was like the sun was rising, and there was these two cranes that were flying like over the sky, and the water was just really beautiful. And I was like, this is wealth right now for me, to be able to have the luxury of going out safely, taking a walk, and just chilling and being with self, and able to clear my mind space and connect with the higher version of me, like this right now in the second, because that's all we have. That is literally all you have. You do not have the past, and you do not have the future. Like, it's just you right this second. Okay? Because you can shift your future at any second. So I said, I am an incredibly wealthy person right now. And I said, what is success to me right this second? Because again, success means a lot of different things to a lot of different people. I said, I feel so successful in the fact that I got up this morning and I went on an hour walk. I chose my mental health, where I could have just slept in the bed because I didn't want to get up this morning, but I chose to get up. And I'm successful because I have working legs that I can take this walk and enjoy myself. Like, how successful am I that I'm trying to tap into this bigger version of myself right now? And then I said, the clients, calendar full of clients. What does that feel like to me? And Tabitha, if you're in here, you were my example. So I said, I gave a reading to my beautiful friend Tabitha yesterday, and it was great. It was helping her on her journey. It helped me on my journey, because I was like talking back to myself basically in a different form. And I said, Tabitha is this is Tabitha in here. Tabitha is a great example of having a calendar full of clients, right? And so by the end of the walk, I was just feeling so much better from when I woke up, because I tapped into the frequencies of what I want more of. And so if you can start your day like that, you're going to take that energy with you, and it's just going to radiate out into all areas. Because when we first wake up is when our cortisol is the highest. And like, if you start out with stress and anxiety and fear, you're going to take that with you throughout the day. I know we've all seen that before. Okay, just one thing after the other going wrong. Okay? But if you can find you some keywords, like mentioned before, success, wealthy, calendar full of clients, I know, just clients, okay? Whatever those words are for you. I would really try and stay away from money. If you're good with money, like you have a beautiful, fantastic relationship with money, I love that for you. But the majority of people, when you hear the word money, your central nervous system gets activated, and you start getting in fear and fight or flight, and that actually repels money away from you. So if you can get in higher frequencies above it, like abundance or wealthy, it takes the hyper focus off of the lack. I love this. I've been playing video games in the morning to incorporate fun into my morning. Oh yeah, see, anything that we can get our vibration and frequency up, or bring some joy or like laughter or peace into our life first thing in the morning, you are going to carry that throughout your day. Because now your subconscious is looking for those things. It was like, oh, this made us feel really good. Let me bring more of that to us. But if you start out your day with feeling stress and anxiety and fear, your subconscious is like, oh, okay, well, this is what we're supposed to feel for the day. So money, especially as a tool of measurement of success, is still scary to me. Right. So maybe we don't focus so much on money being one of our success markers. Because what we're ultimately trying to do is, let's talk about, but we do need to change that frequency and thought about money, deconstructing the program. Oh, for sure. Yeah, I'm not saying that we don't need to do like the work around money, but let me say this piece here. So success, wealth, clients, let's just take those three. What we need to do is get our body used to feeling that frequency and being able to hold more of it. Just like when people are learning how to step away from chaos and anxiety and be addicted to those things, it's because your body has a container that holds so much of that frequency that you've gotten so used to it, and you actually have to learn how to defragment and get that energy container out of your body. Because that was me in the past. I was super addicted to stress and chaos and trauma. But when I started healing and I started experiencing peace was a very scary emotion that did not feel good in my body. Just like unconditional love. Like I would push people away all the time that were trying to love me, you know, fully, wholly for who I am. But that is a very odd feeling in your body. Your central nervous system is not used to that. So it actually repels it or says that's scary. I don't know what that is. It's also why a lot of people pull in traumatic relationships like narcissists and things like that, because your inner children inside have a container for them being used to narcissism. So that's why sometimes when you step away from those relationships, it's difficult for you to integrate them into your life, because you're like, this doesn't feel right. Somebody that doesn't want anything from me or doesn't expect anything from me, what is that? Okay, and it triggers your abandonment and trust wounds. So going back to the wealth and the success and calendar clients, if you're a coach energy healer, you have to get used to that frequency in your body. So if you have a hard time with money right now, or that's something that you're currently working on, why don't we work on holding wealth frequency in our body first? Because that's ultimately what you're trying to get to anyway. Okay, is having a wealthy amount of money. But there's so many other ways that you can tap into the frequency of wealth outside of money. Because when you are feeling good, just all around, like feeling good in all areas of your life, you naturally attract money to you, because your frequency is vibrating above the frequency of money. Money is a form of abundance. So if you're tapping into abundance in other areas, you start to have a very good self-concept. Self-concept is everything. That's how you view yourself. That's how much you believe that you are worthy and deserving of your manifestations and the beautiful life that you want to live. When you are thriving in all these different areas, money naturally comes to you because you have a good self-concept of what you deserve. I was programmed, money is the root of all evil. The truth is the lack of love is the root of it. Yeah, absolutely. Money can be whatever you want it to be. Money is neutral. It's literally just energy. Your energy, I'm energy, this crystal's energy. Money is made of the exact same stuff as everything else. It's whatever intention you put behind it and whatever narratives and thought patterns that you have around it, or trauma that you've had around it, that dictates your concept of money and concept of self. And so that's what I'm saying. Sometimes when we are so hyper-focused on our manifestations or money or these things, our filter lenses and stories and narratives and trauma get in the way. But there's other ways that you can work around it. Don't think about the money. Don't think about the manifestations. Your soul knows what you want. It's not going to forget. It's aware. How about we focus on where else that we are thriving in life? Because when you do that, it starts to amplify things. Like even on my walk, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so wealthy and successful and calendar full of clients. Because the way that your subconscious works is you have to give it evidence-based reasons as to why something is true or not. That is the only way that you can reprogram your subconscious. You can do affirmations all the live long day and do them like thousands of times over and over again, and it will eventually work. But if you want to completely bypass that and heal a lot quicker and reprogram your subconscious, you have to give it reasons as to why a self-limiting belief is not true. Even if it's just one time. If you are saying like, I'm not confident, then that will be your reality. Because your subconscious will try and pull evidence to you to prove to you why that is true. So you have to counterbalance that and give it an example of, I don't think that's true because this one time I did this one thing and I had to be really confident for that, or maybe I was confident after I did it, because that's another thing, sidetrack. Confidence that comes afterwards. What you need is determination. Confidence comes after you do the thing. Okay, I wish somebody had told me that earlier in my journey. But you have to say, nope, that's not true because of this. Or money is hard to come by. Okay, well, you need to give your subconscious an evidence-based reason as to why that's not true. Where has somebody gifted you money? Did you find money on the floor? Did you get like a rebate in the mail that you didn't know about? You have to specifically give it an example. Because what ends up happening too with that is when you start to take one self-limiting belief over here, because you're a whole being. You have all these different self-limiting beliefs running through your system. Everybody does. Okay, because every time you level up, you got a new set of self-limiting beliefs. But you're a whole being. So if you take this one self-limiting belief over here and you prove to your subconscious why that's not true, your subconscious will start to defragment other self-limiting beliefs. Because it's like, oh, well, if this one's not true, maybe these other ones aren't either. And it starts to actually build your self-concept, because you start to say, oh, maybe the beliefs and the truths and the values that I was holding aren't really in resonance with my new identity. And then you can start pinpointing other ones very easily. It's like a muscle that you have to build. There was a, well, let me read this real quick. Yes, when I overcome the fear and do the scary things, feel confident, empowered, and energized. Right. Anytime you're going to do something new, you're going to feel scared. I got very accustomed and used to that feeling that anytime I want to do something new, my armpits get sweaty, I feel like I'm going to throw up, I start getting imposter syndrome, but I do it anyway. Because I know that feeling is always going to be there regardless. Every time. What ends up happening is you get used to the feeling. You're like, oh yeah, okay. And then you just do it, and then you get the confidence. So you actually need determination to push through the fear. I don't remember what I was going to say a second ago, but if y'all have questions about the things that I was talking about, feel free to put them in the comments here. And that can be if you're going through something in life right now and you need some guidance and advice, or if you have questions about spirituality, feel free to put them in here and I would love to answer to the best of my ability, of course. Oh, thank you all for liking the live. I appreciate you. Or if you have questions about inner child healing, manifesting, anything of that nature. Okay. Something that I recommend to people if you are in a space where you have a lot of self-limiting beliefs is to get out a sheet of paper and write all those self-limiting beliefs down. So you have them very clearly out in front of you. And then you can sit there and do the counterbalancing activity of like, yeah, I see that and I understand why I feel that way, because we want to validate why we're experiencing it and feeling that. Because 9 times out of 10, it's coming from your inner children. Okay? Because that's when you're getting programmed. And that's when people are teaching you things, how reality works in their eyes, but that's from their own trauma projections and things that may have not been healed, okay? So what we don't want to do is undermine our inner children by telling them, or being shameful and guilty over them, saying like, oh, you shouldn't think those things. It's fine that they do. That's your job as a higher self to come in and explain to them why that's not accurate and why that doesn't have to be a predictive future. So we can just sit down with those self-limiting beliefs on that sheet of paper and say, thank you for showing me this. I appreciate that you feel open enough to tell me about your fears and your worries. Let's sit down and let me explain to you why this is not exactly accurate, or what we can do together to actually change this. Or here's some evidence-based reasons as to why that's not true. Because your self-limiting beliefs and your ego are not trying to hurt you. They are trying to help you grow and evolve. And they're literally just pings to say, hey, something's out of alignment. Something is not quite right. But you actually have to come in and work with them in order to make those shifts. But we don't want to try and sweep them under the rug or belittle them or bash them, because they're not you. It's part of the human constructual paradigm hologram situation here of things that you have been taught or your inner children experienced and went through. That has nothing to do with your multidimensional self outside of those things. You are literally learning how to heal your human. If that makes sense. Okay, we have some questions up here. Crystal, hey there, beautiful soul. I just started a Reiki course. Oh, that's so exciting, Crystal. Congratulations. What kind of Reiki are you going to be doing? Or Reiki modality? Excuse me. I have difficult time speaking the message when I get on to record. My mind goes blank. Any tips? Yes. Okay. So when I was making content, I was also further back, I was having a difficult time speaking the words to come out, because you know it's up here, but actually getting it into human languaging sometimes is difficult, or what's the word I'm looking for? Making it concise, if you will. And so I had actually a coach tell me, she said, what you're doing right now is trying to make content for a general audience. What you need to be doing is making content for younger you. Because when you're trying to make content for a general audience, you have these fears and energetics running in the background of, am I going to be understood? Am I saying this correctly? Am I going to be persecuted? Are people going to resonate with it? Like, fear of perception is running back there. and you want to be very self-aware and self-assured, because you're teaching things to other people, especially esoteric spiritual things. And so all those kind of filter lenses get in the way and make you start questioning yourself. And so what I started doing was saying, I'm just going to talk to younger me. Not younger me 10 or 15 years ago, because that's reaching too far back in frequency. I'm going to talk to a younger soul version of myself and what she needs to hear. Because it's very easy to talk to yourself. You already have the tools and resources that got you to where you're at. So if you do that, what you're also doing is energetically aligning with clients that are you in a younger form. And then that takes the pressure off, because like, why would I be embarrassed of myself? Or why would I be afraid of persecution or perception of self? And something that also helped me, like a level above that, is to realize that people are not real. They are all reflections of you. There's literally nobody else. It's you and your reality scape and your headset. So all those people that you're talking to are literally just different versions of yourself. Because I used to have this big fear of being like embarrassed in front of other people. And I was in meditation and my higher self was like, why would you be embarrassed of yourself in front of yourself? Like, all those people that you see that are outside of you, they are you and you are them. So it's that separateness with the content as well as the separateness. And the fear of perception and being embarrassed, or wanting to make sure that you are being mindful of the things that you're sharing and putting out. But the thing is, all that content that you're making, you're listening back to it, or you should be listening back to it. Okay, because when you do that, you are actually solidifying those processes that you're talking about, and the tools and the resources, and keeping yourself accountable at the same time. And you're also healing your inner children and your past versions at the same time, because you're actually directly speaking to them. So it's a beautiful way to really level up your own personal journey and level up the type of clients that you work with. Because the closer you can get in resonance with soul journeys to one another, the more intentionally that you can help other people. So what we want to do is be pulling in people that have similar energetics as us, because then it's very easy to help them. Right? So hopefully that answered your question. Oh, you're welcome. Okay. That's how I have really shifted my content. It is those two concepts. And I don't say directly in the camera, like, hey, I'm talking to younger me. I just hold that energetic within myself when I'm making content. And it also prevents me from going too far back in frequency, because often what I see with empaths and light workers who are also teachers and guides and mentors is sometimes they are getting stuck in certain identities because they're ready to shift and move on and start teaching about different things. But because you're constantly talking about the same concepts and tools and resources from an old identity of yourself, you're keeping yourself there with them, which there's nothing wrong with that, but you're probably ready to shift into a new level of healing and coaching or whatever your modalities are. But if you keep on talking about stuff from the way back with people, then that's just going to be the type of work that you do, because what you place your energy and attention on is what you get more of. And so sometimes empaths and light workers feel guilty about, or teachers and coaches and things feel guilty about not helping those people anymore. But the thing is, there's always going to be people to help those people. You're actually doing a disservice to them, because you're so much farther in consciousness from where they are, so they're not understanding what you're saying anyway. And I don't mean that as like a blank statement, because everybody's on different consciousness levels, but just like when you were on your spiritual awakening journey, when you first woke up, and you probably were listening to people that were real far advanced, and you're like, I have no idea what they're talking about. I have no clue what they're saying. But now you're in that space, it's the same thing. So we need to be checking who exactly are we trying to pull in to our reality as far as clientele, or what our content purposes are, right? I recently got the shadow work journal and started reading the first part today. Tips, thoughts? Yes, I also got the shadow work journal. I would, before you start that book, Tabitha, because you're further into your journey as well, is to have a conversation with your inner children and your past versions and explain to them, I am not in these places and spaces anymore. This book is an intention to help me with y'all. Does that make sense? Because sometimes people like empaths and light workers who have been on the journey for like a hot minute, that's another thing when you're working with clients. Sometimes you have the propensity to be talking to people and start to absorb their karmic lessons and the things that they're experiencing, and then process it in yourself as, oh, I need to be doing this too. Which we all have things that we can heal and work on, but sometimes it's not at that level anymore. Like, you've already done the shadow work, you've already done a lot of chakra healing, you're already very adept at your spiritual gifts and abilities. So with that book, I would very much talk to those younger versions and say, this is a book for us to heal and grow together, but I'm coming in as the higher self to help y'all work through it. Because that's no longer your pain and trauma, Tabitha. And the reason I'm saying that to you is because you have already done a massive amount of work, And so you're not actively doing that work anymore. Now is the time for you to step in as a higher self and help them release that stuff, instead of you thinking that you need to do that for self in this stage, if that makes sense. Let's see. Could you tell me why spirits were waking me up today? Diana, are you a medium? Or is that work that you do? Or were just random spirits waking you up? Okay, I'm trying to read y'all's comments here so I don't miss them. Resonates. I'm shifting away from shadow work and into inner child and manifestations. Yeah, shadow work a lot of times is supposed to be to get you to a place where you can get in the higher self and then help your inner children and past versions with their shadow work. But you have to do your own shadow work to be able to get yourself up to that level of consciousness to be able to observe them and it not be attached to the identity that you are now. And Crystal, I don't know if I missed what kind of Reiki, I didn't see it, what kind of Reiki that you're getting into. I would love to hear. I love the idea that we are the higher self to our inner child parts. Absolutely. You can be a higher self to you yesterday as well. It's really any version that's younger than you. And when you start really tapping into that type of healing, what ends up happening is you can start tapping into other incarnations of yourself and helping them heal, and actually tap into other higher selves from different incarnations and start downloading knowledge and wisdom and different spiritual gifts. So you may not be a Reiki practitioner in this incarnation, because maybe you have some other modalities that you're into, but you can actually channel and tap into another higher self from a different time and space that is a proficient Reiki practitioner and pull that information down into yourself and project that out to others. And that's why I'm such a huge proponent on inner child healing and past version healing, because some people have a blocked higher self this way that they can't hear them very clearly. Well, if you teach yourself how to be a higher self to your inner children and past versions, you open up the channel this way to the other higher self, to your higher self. And then you can start doing that with past incarnations. I say that loosey-goosey because they're all happening at one time. So, but you can tap into the bigger web of yourself. But inner child healing is so fundamentally important, because that is where like 95% of our programming and how we were taught reality works and how we see ourselves and see other people, most of that stuff comes from childhood. So sometimes people are wanting to get into Akashic record work. In order to get into Akashic record work, you have to do a lot of trauma healing. You have to do a lot of shadow work in order to do that, because trauma is very heavy in your frequency field, in your lower bottom chakras. And so it makes it very difficult to tap into those higher planes of consciousness and existence when you're bogged down with trauma. Because trauma equates fear, anxiety, shame, and guilt. When you want to tap into your Akasha field and those higher consciousness, they don't feel those things. Like, I'm at a place now where I can step into my next higher self and actually talk back to me in the present. She doesn't feel those things. She does not feel any shame or guilt or fear over me. So I had to learn how to clear those things out within myself. And I'm not saying you always clear them out permanently, but you can pull a large chunk out of yourself. And so I can actually step into those energetics because I don't have all that stuff weighing me down and overtaking my mind and like catastrophizing and anxiety thought loops and like all that stuff. You can't get into those upper chakras and higher frequencies if we're not clearing that stuff out of the bottom down here. Okay. Yep, that happened. I did energy work on my kitty, but I'm not trained in this life. Yeah, you probably plugged into the... Does everybody know what a switchboard is? Like back in the day. Where you like connect lines. That's almost what you start, or what it looks like when I come across somebody who can tap into different incarnations of themselves. It's almost like you're just plugging in to somebody who's an expert in some type of field that you're not in this lifetime. I'm Reiki too, so I've done that, but I haven't heard it phrased like this. Oh, great. Okay, good. I'm glad I was able to give a different perceptual lens there. Recently divorced and moved in with my one true love from almost 30 years. Oh, that's very exciting. I'm very happy for you that you found happiness in the new relationship. And if y'all are just joining in with us, we are doing spiritual coaching. And so if there's something that you're currently going through or a question that you have about life or spirituality, you can feel free to put in the comments and I will answer to the best of my ability. Good morning. Good morning. Oh, you're very welcome. You're welcome. I'm very happy for you. I feel like I'm headed towards Akasha record work. Oh, that's great, James. I'm super excited for you. It's really great because it helps you step outside of yourself, is what the Akasha records do. It helps you detach from your human 3D hologram, even if it's momentarily, and teaches you how to observe your self-limiting beliefs or challenges that you're going through from an objective place. It's really connecting into that bigger version of self, the multidimensional self, and learning how to hold that frequency more so, and becoming the creator of your reality and really understanding it's you that's creating everything around you, and how to actually harness that, and how to do quantum manifestation and how to release trauma on like a next level. So it's a great modality to work within. Highly recommend. Let's see. Okay, I'll give everybody just a second and see if we have any more questions. But one of the ways that I got into the Akashic Records was by doing inner child healing specifically, because I couldn't hear my higher self. It was very, like, my intuition, I had kind of just cut that off in my magic for a long time, and I would always hear people talking about higher self, but I couldn't hear. Now, one of the reasons I couldn't hear very clearly is because clairaudience was not one of my strong gifts. My gift was claircognizance and clairsentience. And so I had to also learn, like, okay, well, we just have different gifts than some other people and learn how to work within those. But that also means that I had to work on my intuition, because intuition is claircognizance and clairsentience. So if you're cut off from your intuition, it's going to be difficult to work within those gifts. But I said, okay, well, if I can't hear this way, then I'm going to go backwards. And I started healing my inner children and past versions. And then all of a sudden, I learned how to be the higher self to them and could hear them speaking to me. And then all of a sudden it opened up the other way, and then I could hear her or hers. You have multiple higher selves. It works like a ladder system. Okay, so you have one a year from now, 5 years, 10 years, you know, all these things. You're constantly shifting into new versions. But if you are having difficulty with hearing your higher self, I always recommend to go backwards and work with your inner children. And there's also other ways you can connect with your higher self, like personifying your higher self a year from now, because there's a lot of people that are trying to connect to this bigger version of self that's like 10 or 15 years from now, and that gets very confusing because you have different higher selves trying to give you all this different information from different chapters in your life. Why don't we just focus on the one a year from now? What does my life look like a year from now? And we want to have the big goals, like the big macro goals. We love that. because that's what gets you out of bed in the morning. Because you have to have exciting goals in order to do very exciting things in your life and have a lot of quote unquote like success. But if that's overwhelming, who do I want to be a year from now? Because oftentimes when people are talking to their higher self, they think it's just some etheric, cosmic, whatever up here. And that's not enough direction for you to be able to hear them. So if y'all are interested in learning how to personify your next higher self, I have a workshop in my bio, and I'll put it down here in the description below. It's Higher Self Connection, and I teach you very specifically about how to do that and how to quantum manifest and timeline shift. But y'all can watch the replay. It's like 2.5 hours, but it is very cleared out steps how to do that. It's a framework that I put together. Let's see. Oh, Asui Reiki. Oh, that's great. I love that. Oh, and crystals, maybe doing crystal healing as well. That's great. I'm very excited for you with that. I got my master in Kundalini Reiki, so which is a little bit different than Usui. I've been doing a lot of inner child meditations, and it's been really awesome. Oh, that's great. A great way to connect with your inner children is to do children's meditations. You can do inner child meditations, which that's great. Children's meditations, like you're actually going to like Dragonland or Fairyland or Unicorn Land, or you're going on a pirate adventure. What you're doing is you are creating safe space for your inner children to be in their imagination and creativity, especially if you did not have that as a child. Because in order for you to tap into magic and your spiritual gifts that are outside of this 3D realm, you have to change the way that you see reality. You have to step outside of your 3D logical mind, because perceiving into different frequencies and dimensions is something that is frowned upon, okay, as a society, saying like, oh, this is wackadoo, or it's evil, or, you know, you persecution, witch type of energy. So you have to teach your inner children, if you had trauma with magic, or you grew up in like a religious household, that magic is actually safe and it's actually real. And so the more time that you can spend in your imagination with your inner children and going on fun, whimsical, magical adventures, those things don't seem correlated to one another, like imagination and magic over here, but they directly are correlated with one another. There are so many times I'm doing sessions with people and their inner children are terrified of magic because of all the things I listed before. And I'm like, okay, well, let's back it up and just create a safe space for them to be in their imagination and creativity in the first place. Because if you want to tap into these other things, other frequencies, dimensions, people's Akashic records and stuff, you have to feel safe, first of all, to be able to even do that. So creating safety with your inner children and trust in those connections with them is so beneficial, especially if you have abandonment and trust wounds from childhood. So to heal abandonment and trust wounds, what do you need to do? You need to spend time with your inner children and teach them, hey, I got you, we're safe, nobody's gonna hurt you, we're like in a completely different space in life now. And so doing children's meditations with them is a great way to do that and help them re-tap back in to their magical archetypes. They're like, oh yeah, it's not scary, and I'm having fun, and this is great, and I trust you. Maybe we can start doing some magical things with our spiritual gifts, or remembering our spiritual gifts. So your inner children are actually the keepers of your magic. I don't think a lot of people realize that. They are actually the ones, because you as an adult, the 3D human, your logical mind gets in your way all the time. Children don't have those filters. They are tapped in. But you have to unravel the trauma around them in order for them to be able to step into themselves fully and in from an empowered place. And then you come in as the higher self and the protector and guardian and saying like, it doesn't matter what happens, I got us, okay? You are free to be yourself and tap into those facets of yourself, because I'm over here and I'm watching out over us. You don't have to worry about those things. So when you open up those lines of communication, you start doing that with them, that's when you start having downloads from your Akasha field, from the different timelines, where you really start tapping into those like upper chakras, not the chakras like your third eye and your crown. You will do that. There's other chakras up above that are vastly more tapped in to your Akasha field and other frequencies and dimensions, like your causal chakra and your stellar gateway chakra and your soul star chakra. Once you start clearing these things out, then you start tapping into those, and then everything busts wide open. Okay, I know I went on a tangent there, but I feel like I had to say it. And inner children meditations are great too. These are a little bit different because they're specifically to connect you to your inner child and to help you work through different things or help create safe space. But I'm talking, and those are great. Highly recommend that. But I also suggest doing fun, magical, whimsical meditations with your inner children, okay? Because sometimes we don't actually need to be digging through trauma. What we need to be doing is having fun because you didn't have fun as a child. Like, that's going to be more beneficial. Fun can also be shadow work. Like going out and doing chalk art and blowing bubbles and then doing a pirate meditation might be more beneficial for your inner child than actually sitting there and trying to dig through some stuff that doesn't need to be digged through. Now, that's not representative of all trauma. Some trauma does need to be digged through, okay? But sometimes fun heals certain trauma. You can't fill from an empty cup. Fill your own cup and let it overflow to others. Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially if you're an empath or a light worker, if you have a magic cup that is empty, it is very difficult to traverse through life. Because we are absorbers and we have open antennas and we're connected to the collective grid. And so there's so many things in our outer experience that can sway our energetics. We need to be filling up our magic cups as much as possible because it helps you stay in your sovereignty and your divinity and your multidimensional self, so that stuff doesn't attach to you so easily, or you don't attach to it so easily. You're like, this is part of the hologram is really hologramming today. Okay? Or, you can see things in a different perspective of like, oh, this is a karmic lesson that I'm working through for a specific reason to help me level up, instead of something happening to me. What are your tips for filling up your cup? Watching magical movies, listening to music that is like very uplifting and has magical whimsy encoded into it, spending time in nature, putting your hands on trees, going to different stores and asking your inner children to find the most magical and whimsical things that they can, going on Pinterest and typing in magic, whimsy, and making a vision board with all the things that make you feel like a multidimensional magical self, playing with your crystals, doing chalk art, blowing bubbles, anything that helps you tap into that version of yourself that is like free and joyful and brings you laughter. Laughter is great too. Laughter is one of the best things to raise your vibration or frequency super fast. So watching funny animals, just anything that gives remnants of something that a child would like to participate in, that's outside of paying bills, taking care of your kids, and maybe your kids bring you those feelings, but sometimes it'd be stressful. Okay? But anything that taps you back into that more innocent version of self that doesn't know anything about that other stuff. Like me on my walk this morning, I was like, I don't have a house. I don't have anything that I have to take care of. I have no bills. I don't have a business. I don't have a social media. I'm literally just out here walking around as a soul, enjoying myself. That hour that I took for myself completely reset my energetics. Sometimes you need to do that detachment. Like when you're watching a movie, like a funny, magical Disney movie, let's say, okay? Like, can you really be present? And say, I'm going to take this hour and a half to really be present here and fill back up my magic cup, and I don't have anything else that I need to worry about or take care of right now. I'm fully going to be present in. And I was watching this video yesterday, and it was by Bruce Lipton, and he was saying worrying is praying for things that you don't want. And that really stuck with me, and I wanted to share that because it is so incredibly true. Because what you place your energy and attention on is what you get more of. So if we can take those moments of being very present and filling back up our magic cup and saying, like, I'm just a soul out here enjoying this experience right now, I don't know nothing about all that other stuff, what you're doing is you're dropping all those worries and filling your cup up, because it's difficult to fill your cup up when you're also sitting over here catastrophizing. We're not really present. We're thinking about all this other stuff, where if you could just take an hour to do whatever activities you choose to do and say, like, that stuff doesn't even apply to me. I don't even know what that stuff is. Water bills. What are responsibilities? It's getting back to that childlike state of freedom outside of those constructual constraints. And you would be surprised at how much that can shift your day or even your life if you learn how to do that. And is it always easy? No. That's what meditation is trying to teach you too, is how to observe and detach from those and let them go while you're in that space, that container space of a meditation. It's not so the thoughts disappear. It's so that you learn how to detach and move through them. But you don't have to do it through meditation. Like I did on an hour walk this morning. You can do it coloring, doing chalk art, painting. You can do it playing video games, like whatever brings you joy and laughter and happiness. How much can you check in instead of being halfway in? Because halfway in is not doing anything for you. It's literally not. It is not allowing you to fill up your magic cup. So how much can I check in? I recently started dreaming of myself in the 3D person, like I'm observing myself. Yeah, that's probably you learning how to get up in that multi-dimensional form of self. So that's very exciting. I do that in meditation. I will intend, if I'm feeling a lot of fear and anxiety, I will go in with the intention to shift into my next higher self and then talk back to me in the present. Because you have a difficult time making forward movement in your own consciousness, because you're just going to do the same things like over and over again. That's why we get stuck. So you have to have an outside party, whether it's yourself, your higher self, a friend, a coach, a healer, sometimes, to help you make that shift. But you can learn to do that with self too. Now, sometimes I still need to end up going to other people because sometimes you're like way down in the 3D and you need somebody to help you shift back up. But you can do that with yourself. You can learn how to temporarily shift into your higher self and then talk back to yourself in the present, and you're going to give yourself completely different ideas and downloads and guidance than you would give yourself in the present. And you do that through doing those activities that we talked about and fully checking in. Because when you're fully checked in and your magic cup is back full, it's a lot easier to shift into that next higher self version of you. When you're in fear and anxiety, it's difficult to do that. So what activities can you do today that you're going to check all the way in? It doesn't have to be for an hour like I went on the walk either. It can be 10 minutes. Meditation's a big umbrella. It does not have to be you sitting in silence. It can be you doing whatever you want to do as long as you're fully checked in. Like for me, my magic cup actually gets full by cleaning my house. Because I love coming home and it just being clean and clear mind. That fills up my magic cup. So can I be fully checked in while I'm doing that, instead of worrying about all this stuff over here? I meditate when I draw. Such an intuitive space for me. That's beautiful. Exactly. It doesn't have to be, especially if you're neurospicy. Sitting meditations don't always work for us because we got too many tabs running, too much going. Okay. So getting something where your body is moving is really beneficial to help you check in. Like you go rollerblading and kind of just zone out. That is you checking all the way in, but neurospicy people sometimes need to keep their body moving while you're doing these meditations, whether it's painting or cleaning or scuba diving, whatever. but it helps you zone in and kind of zone out of the other stuff. Okay, everybody. I appreciate everybody for coming to this chat today. If you want to watch this in the replay, because we talked about a lot of different things in our time together, this is going to be on my YouTube channel, Soul Harmony Magic. So thank you to everybody who joined live and who's going to be watching in the future. If you want to work one-on-one, hey Thomas, hey, good to see you. Hi Sage, bye Sage. If you want to work one-on-one, I do offer private sessions, and I have a mentorship program. I also have a space called the Cosmic Community, and this is where it's a group mastermind for motivated light workers. So if you want to see all the different ways that we can work together, you can go to my profile and click, and the links are there, or you can look down here in the description box below. Thank you for your honesty. Oh, I'm glad everybody enjoyed the chat today. I felt drawn to come on because I had a lot of things that I wanted to share from my experience this morning just on the walk. When you do activities like that help you check in fully, you really become a clear channel to the higher version of yourself and step outside of those fear paradigms. Even with me, like I woke up this morning with a lot of fear and anxiety, and I was like, I'm not gonna take this with me throughout the day. Like we have to do something to check in. And then I did that activity, and I was like, oh, I'm gonna go and do a live this morning because I have a lot of things to share. But that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't switched gears first thing this morning. We probably would have been having a completely different day, doing completely different things. Okay. Thank you for being such a welcoming, beautiful soul. I hope you have a wonderful day. Oh, thank y'all. I hope you have a wonderful day as well. Remember to like and subscribe and hit the bell notification so you know when new content comes out. And I hope everybody has a very sparkly, magical day and something awesome happens for you. Bye.